of all, can I just ask, for those of you who are familiar with Ayurveda, if you just want to raise your hands, any of you, few of you. Yeah, I mean, it is a traditional Indian health system, and it is said to be the oldest health system in the world. So it precedes even the Chinese. And they say it depends which book you read, which text you read, but generally we're looking at something. This knowledge was written down, you know, some of the texts that we read more than 5,000 years ago. Ayurveda being a Sanskrit word, Sanskrit being the ancient language of India. And I'm speaking to the converted here. I don't need to go into too much detail there. But if we break this word down, Ayur literally means life and Veda means knowledge. So it's a huge concept, you know, it's really the integration of a 360-degree approach to our health. That if we, you know, when we look at our health, it's not just our physical body, it's not even just our mind, it's also our environment, it's also how we live, it's also what we eat. It's also the conversations that we're having. It's also the communication that we're having. You know, there's so many things that actually impact our health. And, you know, when the Vedas, the traditional practitioners, the enlightened ones, we can say, when they were actually really compiling all of this information, that was something that they were really able to see, that actually, you know, the way that we are experiencing our health and our vitality is really a culmination of many different aspects. And what we should be considering on a daily basis is really, is my health, my energy, my vitality where I want it to be? And how Ayurveda comes into that is, if the answer is no to even just one of those questions, then you will find a whole toolbox here, a whole toolbox of amazing tools and techniques that you can start to have a look at. So it is a traditional Indian health system, and it's also completely holistic. So when we, you know, when we look at Ayurveda, we're looking at something that's taking us back to nature, that is connecting us back to the plants, to the herbs, to the seeds, and to Atma, to our soul, you know, to the energy within us as well. So when we talk about holism, again, we're talking about all of those aspects, you know, mind, body, and consciousness, and mind, body, and consciousness on a micro level within us, but also mind, body, consciousness on a macro level, you know, with our environments and our planet, and everything, you know, that we experience around us as well. So how Ayurveda has grown over these times? Well, over the centuries, it's kind of, I don't know if you can see my hand. It's like that. It's like that, you know. It has moments where it's very popular, and the whole communities are resonating with the information, and then it's had dips. You know, really in the 60s, it became very popular because there was a meditation teacher called Maharishi. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Maharishi, but Maharishi actually came from India to the UK, and he had been told by his teacher said, you must go to the West and you must spread the information of meditation. And so that's exactly what he did, and he came to the West, and actually he taught the Beatles. I don't know if you're familiar with the Beatles. He actually taught a group in the 60s. He taught them to meditate, and they were a very big global group. So that really helped him take his message out. But why I share that is because also he shared the message of Ayurveda. So he shared the message of holistic health, how being connected in mind, body, and consciousness, we can actually experience greater health. We can experience greater energy. We can experience more, you know, greater vitality. And this really is the message of Ayurveda, is that actually it's all in our hands. You know, how we take care of ourselves, how we look after ourselves. And I talked about Ayurveda in the sense of microcosm and macrocosm. So we have to understand, you know, what was the world like at this time when this information was being imparted on us. And you know, people were really trying to understand concepts within themselves, their own health. You know, we didn't have the knowledge we have now, but also they were living next to close to the cycles of nature, much more so than many of us are living now. You know, many of us live in urban cities now. We're not, you know, living in forests, or, you know, or maybe don't have so much nature actually on our doorstep. So things have changed. The way we live our life has changed somewhat. I know in India, there's a variety. Whenever I go to India and I visit my families, you know, if I'm visiting family in Delhi, they're in urban cities. If I'm visiting my family in Pathankot in the north, you know, they're surrounded by the hill stations. It's so beautiful. So it's important to understand, even our environment, we're all experiencing, you know, even our environment in different ways. But really the core of Ayurveda is this concept of the doshas, of the that we are completely we have a completely individualized body system. It's not one size fits all. You know, everything is customized, everything is bespoke to us as an individual, and that's really the greatest, I would say, the greatest definition of Ayurveda. That it's if you seek support, or if you want to seek support, or you know, from a practitioner or an Ayurvedic doctor, or even an Ayurvedic therapist, that you know, that really you know, the whole program, the way that we would guide is really looking at your constitution, and having a look at what that constitution is, and which are the elements that are in more in finite form, which are the elements which are more in gross form, you know, and how is this showing up in your body. So according to Ayurveda, we do absolutely look at 5 specific elements. So these elements exist within you as a human being, and they exist all around you. And these elements also create a distinct and unique blueprint within us, which is your body type, your dosha. So we actually have, you know, all of them within us. So we have a combination of ether, ether being space. We have air within our body, you know, more movement. We have fire, which relates to heat and transformation. We have water, which is where we find all liquid form. And we have earth, which is all our solid structures. And, you know, the solid structures are your bone, your cartilage, your nails, your teeth, your hair, all of these things that you can physically feel in form. And you know, when we look at these elements, we have to think, well, what's the relevance today? Why should we, you know, what's this path of Ayurveda? Why learn about this? Well, actually, you know, really the message is that if we live in harmony, you know, with our genetic, our natural constitutions, we're more connected to our intuition by practicing mindfulness, by practicing cohesive exercise such as yoga, we will increase our well-being and our long-term health. So having an awareness of your constitution, having an awareness of the elements and how they exist within your blueprint is really all part of that. And it brings greater awareness, you know, into your understanding of yourself. And in Ayurveda, there is a lovely quote, and this quote says, a healthy person who is one who is therefore established, content, and balanced in the self. And that quote really sums it all up. In essence, that we are whole. We are whole. We are born perfect. You know, we are absolutely whole. and it also represents totality. So that doesn't mean you have to have all the elements in your constitution in equal proportion, but what it does mean is that you should understand, you know, your body type and how individualized your body type is. So once you really have got your sort of head around that, and you know, you understand this concept, then you can really start to think about a treatment, a specific treatment program for yourself. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that self-care program as we go through the presentation. But what this comes down to is that you can start to understand which food groups may be more better for you, or, you know, or which food groups might send you a little bit more out of whack because they're not so suitable for your constitution. You can understand the kind of skincare products that are going to be more suitable for your skin, you know, whether you have dry or sensitive, or, you know, even combination or oily skin. You can also start to really think about exercise, and you know, what types of exercise are more suitable for your constitution. And that even comes down to different yoga practices. You know, that even comes down to different visualizations. That even comes down to mindfulness practices. You know, there's so many tools, so many techniques within this this incredible, vibrant health system, that actually, once we start to really you know, understand our constitutions, we're able to start to really think about what are the optimal tools, you know, for our mind, for our body, for our spirit. You know, what are the things that we should bring in as you know, as a practice. And also, you know, when we think about our own constitutions, we also there's another concept in Ayurveda which really looks at our natural qualities. And you may be familiar with these words. You may have even you know, covered these words in some of your other sessions, but these qualities of nature really refer to your what we would say, to your mental outlook, and also your emotional balance. So in Ayurveda, we have what we call sattvic qualities, you know, which are more sort of that pure essence, which are very high vibration. So that's a quality, you know, that's a quality in all of us. We also have rajas, you know, which is more movement, which is more sensations, which even is more transformation, you might say, more sort of a driven quality. So that quality is there. And then we also have tamas, you know, tamas, which is more of a sort of a darkness in the constitution, more inertia. So Ayurveda teaches us about all of these qualities, and actually how we can recognize these qualities within us as well. So, you know, it might be that if your health, energy, vitality isn't where you want it to be, that you can consider, you know, really you know, these qualities, and how you're physically experiencing your body, you know, in that moment. So also something to consider. So as we start to now think about the different qualities and our constitutions, we can start to think about actually the different doshas, and how we can recognize actually what our dosha is. So some of you, just to backtrack actually, so some of us are very strongly one constitution. You know, we're either pure vata, which is a moving energy, what moves, it means what moves, or pure pitta, which is more like, I call it a cooking energy, because it's all about fire and transformation and light in the eyes. And then also we have kapha means what sticks. So it's more of a cohesive, you know, a cohesive energy. And so some of us are purely one. Many of us are a mix of two. I'm a mix of two. So most of us will be a mix of two, and then some of us are tridoshic, which is where all of the elements sit within us in equal proportion. And that doesn't mean to say that's the end game. That's, you know, we're not aiming for all of these elements to sit within us in equal proportion. What we're aiming for is that we have an understanding of what our genetic constitution is. You know, actually, you know, when we, you know, our genetic constitution is based on our parents' constitution, on our DNA. It's also based on our mother's lifestyle, you know, when she was carrying you. You know, so all of these things have an impact on your development of your constitution. And the more you're in line with your genetic constitution, which is your prakriti, the more you can feel good health, the more you can feel energy, the more you can feel vitality. You know, all of these things are enhanced by being aligned to your natural genetic constitution, which is your prakriti. But what happens in life is that depending on, you know, what's going on and what's happening for us, we can get out of balance. So we also develop another constitution, and that's called Vikruti. So Vikruti literally means out of balance. So, you know, so Ayurveda, you know, in Ayurveda, it's a deeply intuitive healing health system. You know, the more we bring awareness into our bodies, our minds, you know, our life, the more we can really answer, you know, questions about our health very honestly and very openly. You know, even I was working with a client recently, and as soon as I started going through their, you know, they couldn't understand why they didn't have, you know, the same energy and vitality that they'd had, you know, in previous months before. So they said, I eat well, you know, I'm healthy, I cook everything fresh. And then actually, you know, when we started having a look at their food diet, you know, this individual was probably drinking 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. You know, so it's as we bring, it's amazing, but as we bring more awareness into how we're living our life, we're also able to start to become more honest, you know, with also the experiences that are taking place on a day-to-day basis. So I think that's really important, you know, that that there's lots happening around us all the time. And, you know, we might think, oh, you know, I've got a pain here, you know, it could be something really serious, when actually, if we just change a few things in our life, you know, we actually start to see that the body starts to naturally balance again. And, you know, the wonderful thing about Ayurveda is it, you know, it really is such a deep healing health system. When you start to bring in, you know, you know, the aspects of mindfulness, of yoga, of even the body work, you know, we really start to then activate all the energy centers within the body as well, and help to really remove any blockages that might have accumulated. You know, if maybe something's come up for us in our life and we haven't completely healed from that experience. So, you know, staying, you know, being on the path of awareness is key to practicing Ayurveda, for sure. And then when it comes to understanding your doshas, so here we have a look at the doshas. So somebody of a Vata constitution, then your mind is more of a creative energy, because it's predominantly ether and air. So it's the ether and air elements. So these wonderful high elements, you know, tend to have more of a creative soul. They're very inspiring, energetic, tend to be more spontaneous. We tend to see more sort of people with pure Vata constitutions in creative industries. So, you know, graphic designers, artists, teachers, you know, and also if, you know, in the home, the Vata constitution will also be creative. You know, we'll also want to have a nice home, and you know, do the makeover to all the rooms and make sure the kitchen looks fabulous. And you know, so this is a very natural quality of Vata, how it shows up. If Vata gets out of balance, this is when we start to see things like nervousness and anxiety. So it's really important that Vata has a routine, and you know, always has breakfast in the morning, always manages lunch, you know, because Vata needs to sustain that energy. And their body is usually quite slim framed. They don't put weight on easily at all. They can be more sensitive to cold. That's less of an issue there in India. It's more of an issue for us here in the West. And because of that, it might be that they experience more dryness in the skin. So certainly, you know, for our Vata constitutions, oiling the body, self-massage, you know, moisturizing is really important. And Vata is balanced by conditions of warmth and nurturing. So that's, you know, feeling the love and the compassion from others, but also in their environment, you know, so even things like warming colors, you know, oranges, burnt oranges, you know, warming browns, you know, things like this helps the Vata person feel, you can say, more cocooned in their space. You know, helps them feel more, you know, more nourished, you can say, as well. So they're really the sort of the key qualities, you might say, that we might recognize in our Vata constitutions. But in general, if you're thinking about health, then in general, they suffer more from the neurological, you know, kind of issues. Also, we might see that they suffer from muscular problems as well. Certainly, you know, stress is a factor to take in with our Vata constitution. Oops. So then we have our lovely Pittas. Pitta is predominantly water and fire elements, and Pitta means what cooks. It's a transforming energy. And you know, here it's Pitta will generally have more warm body temperature, and they also have a very strong digestive fire. So how this shows up, you know, with a strong Agni, which is your digestive fire, they tend to be very determined, very dynamic, you know, very sharp, even competitive. So we tend to find them, if they're working, if they're Pittas who are working, they're going to be in more, you know, even more competitive industries, or and they can be perfectionist. You know, that's kind of the fire that drives them. You know, everything has to be just as is. They, in the family, they are super organized, so they have everybody else organized. You know, whatever's going on, it's all in place. And when they get out of balance, this can show up, you know, in things like anger and frustration, and it takes time then, you know, if Pitta starts to feel those things, it takes time for them then to pacify that and to really calm themselves down. So it's really important that Pitta personalizes their asanas, their yoga postures, you know, even their breathing, their pranayama techniques, even their meditation, because this is all very bespoke and unique to the constitution. And when we think about, you know, when we have a look at what they look like, they you know, they have very good muscle tone, very much medium frame, and they, as I've said, they are sensitive to heat. I mean, how that shows up in India is interesting, because you're a very hot country. And it may be that it shows up in skin. You know, they tend to suffer more from inflammation in the skin. Certainly in the face, we might see more congestion in the T-zone. We might see more acne. We might see more inflamed eyes. So it can show up in those sorts of ways, but also in the body. If Agni, you know, which is the digestive fire, if that gets out of balance, it can lead to heartburn, it can lead to poor digestion, and it can lead to a lack of energy and immunity. So, you know, so it's really important that that we look after our Pittas with coolness. So I know in India, you know, really, we've just had a bit of a heat wave here in the UK, and we're like children when it's a heat wave, because we don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't have fans generally, so we're all, you know, all going around just with some paper fanning ourselves. You know, we shouldn't complain really, because it's wonderful when we have the summer and we have the heat, but in India, you know, that's your temperature. So so it's great that, you know, in the homes you have a fan, there's air conditioning. You know, all of these things will help keep pitta more in balance, and, you know, pacify that fire, you know, should that be necessary. And also, you know, so conditions of coolness are really important, but also conditions of calm, you know, because if you think about a constitution that can get, if they get out of balance, they get, you know, frustrated, and there's a temperament there, and they can get angry, then, you know, you know, certainly you don't want to trigger that. So creating a calm environment is important for our pitta constitutions. Also having things just, you know, more tidy, you know, tidy, so things are easy to find, easily accessible. You know, this kind of lifestyle is important for pitta. And also, you know, it's important for pitta to be kind to themselves, because they're sort of really driven. You know, they can also burn the candle from both ends. And you know, with our pittas, it's really important that you do dedicate some time to having fun as well, to letting your hair down, you know, to having fun, you know, with your friends and your family, and not be so go all the time. So this, I think, you know, is very much in line with the name of your platform, you know, living consciously, because I think for pitta, that's one of the biggest lessons, really, that again, you know, the more they can live consciously, you know, bring more awareness into the way that they're living, what their, you know, day-to-day life is like, it will raise, you know, raise their vibration, you know, raise the way that they are experiencing their life. And also this really is aligned then to health, to energy, to vitality. So, you know, so that's, you know, very all very important for our lovely pittas. And then our final body type, when I find final body type, is our nurturing kaphas. So whenever I think of India, I always think of lots of kaphas, you know, because kapha is a very you know, kaphas are the ones that we tend to look at, who have so much wisdom there, and love and compassion, and, you know, very balanced and very stable. You know, it's predominantly water and earth element. And like I said, kapha means what sticks. It's a sticking energy. So it's the power of cohesion. And kapha is very loyal, very caring, and naturally very, very calm. You know, they're a little bit slow, they're a little bit cool, they're a little bit methodical. That's just the way that they are. They don't need lots of change and lots of different experiences, you know, that vata and pitta might require. They're more still, you know, and they can find happiness in the smallest experiences. Really, being still is so important for kapha. Enjoying nature is so important for kapha. You know, being with loved ones, having that connection is so important for kapha. They're very tolerant. So they're also, you know, they're also our family healers. They're also our community healers. You know, they're also, we tend to find them in caring professions. We tend to find them playing this role in their families and their communities as well. They're very forgiving. They have very big hearts. So, but on the other hand, you know, if kapha gets out of balance, it's very much, it's the respiratory system that is affected. It's the lungs, you know, it's you know, even because their bodies are more heavier, even the fat cells can accumulate, and it, you know, makes it more difficult to then shed, you know, shed that weight from the tissues. So so we have to also, we of the vatas and the pittas also have to pay attention to our kaphas, you know, and also give them self-love as well, you know, give them attention, because they will put so much energy into the world, but they find they can be a little bit restrained with their own self-care, a little bit restrained with their own self-care. And also, if they get out of balance, it can lead to an over-attachment. So, you know, after this presentation, what would be lovely is for you to think about, you know, what is your constitution? What do you resonate with? And if any of these things are coming up for you, then, you know, you can start to think about, well, okay, how can I address that? So, you know, if kapha is out of balance, they'll tend to also procrastinate and also oversleep. So so, you know, it's important that they move their body, they do some exercise, you know, they get out in nature. It's really important for their circulation as well, because otherwise there's an over excess. You know, it might even be if there's an imbalance and lungs and respiratory system is impacted, then, you know, you might find there's more mucus in this area as well. So certainly, you know, drinking herbal teas, certainly certain herbs are really going to help with clearing, you know, clearing this area. So they do have more of a medium to large frame and more of a slow metabolism. So they also need to be more careful with what they eat. You know, I know in India, certainly when I'm visiting India, my auntie G's like to cook with lots of ghee and lots of oil. And, you know, really with our kaphas, we need to be a little bit careful, you know, minimize that a little bit more, because again, this also can lead to this lethargy, you know, to dampness in the body, to excessive oiliness. You know, it might show up in the skin even. You know, the skin needs exfoliating more so. You know, you might see even blackheads around the, you know, the nose area. So kaphas, it's important that we're cleansing the constitution, you know, that we are that we're taking care of the body in that way. And if you are, you know, experiencing any kind of chest colds or sinus congestions or allergies, then simple things like even drinking ginger tea, you know, ginger, we love ginger in all of our food, Indian food, you know, so even you can drink that as a tea. You know, even, you know, with your fennel, you know, fennel is very cleansing and clearing. It's very good for kapha constitution as well. So there's a whole variety of things that you can do with your food that will really help. And then also, you know, really kapha is balanced by conditions of coolness. So they don't overheat like pitta, but they can get, you know, their bodies can get a little bit overheated. So it's also really important to also bring in more increased activity, I should say. I put that here on the presentation as well. So again, just maintaining the warmth around our kaphas, you know, the love, increased activity. And when you're thinking about sort of purging the body, cleansing the body, you're thinking more about these purifying and these energizing ingredients. So even things that we say in the West, we say things that are zesty. I don't know if you use that word in India, but certainly things that are more uplifting, you know, things like lemon, things like sweet orange, you know, things that actually really uplift the system. And also with kaphas, if they're getting a little bit lethargic or lacking vitality, I've said they can over-attach or become a bit clingy. So again, it's important they don't oversleep. You know, kapha's kind of the last one to get up in the morning, but actually it's really good for kapha to wake at sunrise. You're going to have more energy. You know, you're going to really, you know, wake to the energy of the sun. And actually that's going to support you in your day as well. So being active and also learning to let go are all really important lessons, I should say, for our Kapha constitutions. And what's really wonderful, you know, about Ayurveda is that actually all of our body types, we all enjoy each other's company. You know, it's good to have the variety. So, you know, definitely Kapha depends on Vata for stimulation and movement, and also definitely Pitta for its warmth. You know, if we think about how we live in our families and how we live in our communities, you know, you know, having this variety of constitutions, variety of different types, also is very energizing for all of us, you know, because it's a vibration that we're able to share with each other. You know, if we just had a room that was just purely one constitution and nothing else, not so much would get done, really, you know, and it might be a bit placid. So you know, having this variety is really really sort of exciting, and also shows us how we all need each other, you know, to support each other, the energy of each other to support each other. Now this is a cycle that I'm talking about, you know, just the doshas. The doshas is a cycle. Your prakruti and your vikruti is your natural cycle, your constitution. But also, you know, there are other cycles in Ayurveda, and this is referred to as the circadian cycle and the natural rhythms. So when we think about the natural rhythms in Ayurveda, there's a really lovely quote that says, everything in life cannot happen at once. Everything in life cannot happen at once. And I think that's also Indian ancient wisdom. You know, that actually the doshas are present in every organ, in every cell, indicating, you know, when your brain should go to sleep, when your gut should digest food, when your heart pumps more blood around the body, and also, you know, when it should slow down. So in this health system, in Ayurveda, we have the circadian clock, which is actually broken down into 2 parts in the day, and each part is 12 hours each. So you have a first cycle, which is 12 hours, and then you have another cycle which is also 12 hours. So the first 12 hours are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m, and then we have the next 12-hour cycle. And each of the doshas are more present in certain cycles in the day as well. So that's something to bear in mind. But then added to that, we also have a further 3 4-hour cycles in a day. And each of the 4-hour cycle is also linked to certain body functions that are governed by the doshas. So this is really, you know, the level of knowledge that Ayurveda has given us, the level of knowledge that Ayurveda has shared with us, that you know, really, you know, the whole of the system takes us back to nature, and takes us back to really understanding actually that when we live in the natural rhythms of nature, really our health, our energy, our vitality are where we want it to be, because we're living in full awareness. We're living in full awareness of actually the natural rhythms around us as well, and you know, we're able to connect you know, to those natural rhythms. So when we look at those 3 aspects in the day, the first stage is actually all about growth, and that's connected to the Kapha dosha. So that's your first stage. Then the second stage in the day is all related to transformation, and also we might say metabolism, and that is connected to the qualities of Pitta. And then finally, we also have the creative energy, you know, the mental energy, the greater mental energy. And this is all connected to Vata. So all of these doshas, as much as they exist within us, they also exist around us. And again, how we are experiencing life, how we are experiencing, you know, our day-to-day, but also, you know, on a grander scale, on a macro scale, also what's happening, you know, in our planet, you know, on the earth, and you know, in it, on our planet as well, and how we can see the change and the transformation that's taking place. So there's Ayurveda. It's a huge health system. So I've really just, you know, just given an overview today. And I do also have, I've got actually a course of 8 sessions. So what I'll do is I'll send the link to Shalu. And for those of you who want to dive a little bit deeper, maybe into the nutrition or the herbs, you know, learn a little bit more, even about your constitution, you know, there's lots more information there. So, you know, you can learn more about that there. And also what I wanted to share today was, for those of you who want to learn more about what are the tools in Ayurveda, you know, when we think about Ayurveda, the simplest way that I look at it is I look at the toolbox as 6 specific areas. So the first thing is looking at your diet and your nutrition. What are you eating? Is it the right food groups for you? You know, is it sustaining your health, your energy, your vitality? What are the qualities of the food that you're eating? Are you eating fresh food? Are you cooking? You know, all of these things. I know in India, you guys are so much better than us in the West. So, you know, you cook fresh, you prefer fresh, and keep that going. Don't change that, you know, because that's really important. It's important that you're eating, you know, home cooked food, and you're getting all of those nutrients. So that's the first thing. Then also think about the herbs. And this might be herbs that you might take if you have a cough, you know, if you have skin inflammation, you know, there's many natural herbal remedies that will help support you. You'll have ingredients already in your kitchen, you know, where you can create some of these formulations from. In some of the sessions, I'll send the link. You know, I talk about some of the you know, natural formulations that you can make yourself. You know, you can make a decoction, you can make a tincture. And all of these things will again help you if you have, you know, if you have something come up and you're looking for a natural remedy. So that's really important. And also starting to really understand about the herbs around, you know, what do you have locally to you? What can you grow on your windowsill in your garden? I know when one of my trips to India, I remember when I went to see my auntie, one of my aunties in Pathankot, and in her beautiful garden, she grows aloe vera. And it was the first time, you know, she said, let me show you this plant. And she took this plant and she took a leaf and she opened it up and just really smeared the gel onto my skin. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is amazing, you know, and this is here growing in your garden. So there's many, many things that grow around you that can help you and support you with your health. Then when it comes to cohesive exercise, you know, in Ayurveda, everything is related to energy clearing. You know, we don't use any chemistry or chemicals or anything like that. It's all relating to our body, to our natural energy. And sometimes, you know, if life throws us lemons or, you know, whatever might happen in our life, we might get a bit blocked. Energy might get blocked in certain zones. And so you can actually move this energy. You can clear this energy through asanas, through yoga practice. You can also do this through mindfulness and meditation practice, which also gets you connected to yourself. And you know, having a regular practice in this area, you know, you just go deeper and deeper. You know, it's a well that never stops. And it's the greatest self-care that you can give to yourself. It really is. I think, you know, once we start to love ourselves in this way and take care of ourselves in this way, we radiate confidence, we radiate happiness, you know, we illuminate positivity, and that vibration, you know, just extends and extends and extends. So, you know, so definitely having a regular practice is important. Also body work, you know, sometimes we want to see a professional, sometimes we want to have a massage, and thank goodness, you know, you live in a country where massage is not just a treat, not just something you have at Christmas, it's something very much part of your culture. And in Ayurveda, you know, in massage, in the massage and the body work, we work specifically on vital points, on mama points, which also help clear energy, you know, that might be blocked in certain zones. And also we can connect these points more to conditions in the body, you know, so we can also work more deeply in essence of treating, you know, even more serious trauma, you know, more serious, deeper experiences that again maybe haven't completely cleared yet, and we need to do a deeper dive into the body, into the psychic body, you know, into more into that element, in that state of consciousness. You know, also with Ayurveda we have the philosophy, you know, we have connection to soul, to spirit, and always knowing that we're guided, you know, in essence, because again, you know, you're blessed to all, you know, be living in a land where, you know, that is part of your culture. It's less so here in the West. You know, to be in an environment where you know, you can comfortably talk about spirituality, where you can comfortably talk about essence and Atma and God, and share that wisdom and that knowledge is very powerful. You know, to know that that the universe, you know, is there to support you and will always have your back. That's really, you know, in essence, you know, what we talk about when we're talking about it from a philosophical perspective. And then finally, if you are looking for tools within the Ayurvedic system which take it one step further and take you into more of a deeper cleansing place, then there is something called Panchakarma. So Panchakarma is the classical way to detox the body. And there you would go and see a professional. You know, in India, there's many professionals that provide this service. And that's where you have more of a deeper dive into certain therapies, you know, that really cleanse the body, the colon, you know, that you know, will cleanse, you know, cleanse the mind, the spirit. You know, also you'll have some decoctions, specific herbal remedies, you know, that will also help support you there. So that's really, you know, when you feel that you need, you know, maybe just another level, you can say, of cleansing. So I think that's bringing me up pretty much